Welcome to part 3 of this Corvette C5 restoration series. What have we done so far? Let's do a quick recap. Let's roll the intro and I'll tell you what we've done so far. Go. Okay, so if you've been following this series along, you'll know that this C5 sitting behind me, 1998, has been kind of sitting still and neglected for, well, over 2 years. And what we've tried to do so far is get it ready for its inspection here in the UK, the MOT test, and it needs to pass that before we can drive it. So, MOT test, like I said, covers basically everything front to back. Lights are all working, tyre condition, brakes, any engine oil leaks, electrical issues that might cause any faults in the dashboard, exhaust emissions, any chips in the glass, anything like that will appear on the MOT test and sometimes can fail you for it and the car can't be driven until you fix it, or they give you a little advisory notice which means you have to fix it before the next MOT. So with this one today, what I've been doing since the last video is leaving the battery connected because we had a bad battery drain on this car, and I've cleaned some grounds at the back. I'll show you this as part of this video, but one of the rear tail lights wasn't working at all, and it wasn't a bulb. Put a new bulb in it and it still didn't work. So what I've done is I've taken the rear tail light housings out, I've cleaned all the grounds, I've sprayed them with some contact cleaner, etc. Put new bulbs in just for the sake of it, and magically everything worked. And the battery drain, I've had the car hooked up now for 4 or 5 days, and it has dropped a little bit, as you'd expect. But the lowest it went to was just below 12.3 volts, and the car still started when I cranked it over. So after 4 or 5 days, I did put it back onto the C-Tech battery charger, just to make sure it didn't drop any further. So we still have a slight drain. I don't think it's as bad as it's been. Whether or not the grounds at the back have fixed it, I don't know. But the next video, maybe at the end of this one, depends how long it lasts, I'll do the battery drain test with the fuses, with the amp meter hooked up, so you can see what's causing it, what circuit's causing it. But today we're going to be doing an oil change, and I'll show you the rear tail light housing electrical connection fix that I did. And if you want to go back and look at parts 1 and 2, you'll see me starting the basic engine service with the belts and tensioner. And part 1 was really just going around the car and making sure we know everything that's wrong with it. Still got the roof off, still got the roof to re-spray, re-clear, and get all the old flaky clear coat off of it. And then we'll get some new tyres put on, and also new brake discs and pads all round. So let's crack on with this video. Let's get the thing jacked up and we'll crack on with the oil change. Let's go. Well, I had planned on taking the car outside to do this, just to give me it was a nice day, give me a bit extra room, and if any oil spilled, it wouldn't spill on my lovely garage floor. But as you can see, this is August in Scotland, and it's absolutely chucking it down now. You know, it's just funny. It's just incredible. So I was planning on taking the car out and just leaving the roof off, getting a little bit of fuel for the summer, but no, it's not happening, is it? No chance. Alright, so we've got the car jacked up. I had to put some wood blocks under the wheels, drive it onto the wooden blocks to get enough clearance to get my low profile jack underneath it. And with the jack, I'll just put it in and show you. I used a block of wood, low profile jack, and I'll show you where I jacked it up from. Alright, so under the car, I've got 2 3-ton jack stands, and I jacked it up right in the middle of this cross member here, see that? Right there. And then place the jacks on either side of this stand. Now ideally I should have put a block of wood there, but I didn't have one that was long enough at the moment, so that'll do. And it's rock solid on these stands, it's not moving a single inch. And the problem is, of course, you'll see it right there, we have an oil leak from the sump plug. Wait to get in closer. There's a sump plug right there. It's been leaking a little bit, and it's at the front of the car, which is unusual.
So what we have to do is, to get all the oil out, we have to take the jack, go around the back and jack it up from the rear, make it level, and that way we'll drain all the oil out. And just about there, you'll see the oil filter. So we'll bring the camera down here when we're doing this, and let's crack on with the oil change. There we are. So it is a 15mm ratchet socket. I think you need to get a spanner on it, so I don't think there's enough room for a ratchet, but anyway, it is a 15mm. And this one has been leaking quite substantially, unfortunately, and it is on super tight, so hand tight, people, hand tight. Don't need it to be that bad. Double ratchet method comes to the rescue again, and I knock over everything as usual. Okay, let's knock that loose. No problem. Here we go. Here's Paxson for 3. Yeah. He scores. John Paxson. Anyone remember that? 93 Bulls. 3-pointer. Win the series. Game 6. Right, let that drain. Alright, so we're jacking up at the rear cross member. And we're just going to lift it slightly to get it up in the air to allow the oil to drain out fully. And basically get the car level. Right, so the drips have practically stopped. Raised it up, and now we've got a little stream still coming out, so that should get the last out. Looking for about 6 litres here, and we're good to go. So let that drip for a while. You know, a quick jack would be absolutely immense in this situation, because you'd have this done in half the time. Most of the time for this job is getting the car jacked up. If you don't have the, you know, blocks of wood or something lying around your own garage, you're going to struggle to get a jack underneath the air dam here. So yeah, might invest in a quick jack soon enough. Now, whoever put that oil filter on was clearly going for a personal best in torque settings. I had to get the chain ratchet on it to get it off, and it took me quite a bit of my strength to actually move it. So we'll put it on the new one, hand tight only. There's no need to wring its neck. But yeah, I think whoever put both the oil pan bolt and the filter on clearly called 4 of their friends and said, let's all hang off this torque wrench to see what we can get out of this so that the next guy has a great time. But anyway, we got there in the end, didn't we? Yes, we did. Right, then I'll show you the state of this oil filter I took off. Now, I have mangled a lot of these in the past to get them off, but look at that, that was just me using my chain wrench. That's the level of force I had to put on this to move it. No need for that, folks. Son of a... We've came across that kind of stuff before though, and we're okay, but you don't need to put that much torque on these things, you just hand tighten them. A wee unga dunga turn with your hand in that shoe. So, that's the old oil out, old filter off. Let's get a new filter on, new oil in, get the car back down on the ground. Right, the AC Delco. I've got the Mobile 1. Just put a little bit on the seal. Probably about 1 million videos in this on YouTube somewhere, but hey ho, I'll just show you what I'll do anyway. A little bit in the thingy, round the seal. You can pre-fill these as well with oil if you want, so that's what I tend to do, because this one's going upside down anyway. There we are. Now just go and screw that by hand onto the car, not using King Kong's full torque on it. Right, get the old oil out. I'll just give it a little squishy with brake cleaner before we put the car back down like we're doing. These oil pans are excellent. They've got the little spout at the end that saves you making any mess. He says. Justy's about to spill every single bit of this. So this is a 5 litre container I'm putting this into, so you should have a little bit left over. Make sure you get all the 6 litres out of the car. Yep, so that's me full up the 5 litre, and what we'll do is we'll put in this little 1 litre into the car, and then that shows we've got all 6 litres out, so that's pretty good. What I forgot to mention, of course, is before I did all this, I took the cap off just to make sure that there was airflow getting through. It makes the oil drain that little bit easier, so don't forget to do that. Alright, so that's the oil change done. Got about 6 litres in there, give or take. It measures okay on the dipstick, I'll just show you. Right, maybe tough to see because the oil's so clean, but it's right in the middle of those hash lines there, which is pretty much perfect. I'll just keep an eye on it the next few days. If I need to put a little bit more in, I'll do so, but basically that's it. And if you want to make sure it's the right grade, you just give it a wee taste. Watch. Oh, wait a minute. Yep. That's 5W30 Mobile 1, okay. And the last stuff tasted not like that. It was probably like an unnamed brand or something. So, that's the engine service pretty much done. We've got filter in, air filter, the belt, the tensioner, new oil filter, and we're going to do the brakes in the next video. And we'll look at the brake fluid at that point in time. Well, our fluids we've got to check are the coolant and the power steering fluid, which I did have a look at the other day and it looks okay. And that's all the fluids kind of dealt with, and we'll move on to the brakes in the next video. But for the rest of this video, I'll show you some of the electrical problems I was having at the butt of the car. So this light is working for the tail lights but not for the brake light, but the reverse part is. So these are pretty easy to get out. It's just a T, I think it's a 15 Torx bit to loosen that, and you pop the lights out. Whoops. Alright, you pop the lights out. There's 2 connections. So I've taken this one out just now just to see what is going on here. And what I'm going to do is, it looks pretty filthy in there. I'm going to clean the contact points and I'm going to spray it with some contact cleaner. What I'm going to do is take this off the connector and do the same in the connector. It's just a
little pull fit there. Just put a little screwdriver in there and pop it out. Give that a spray, nothing too difficult, and give it a clean with a cloth. And we'll try that again, because try the simplest solution first and hopefully that will work. So let's go and try that. Alright, so that's looking much cleaner now in general. So I just gave the contact points in here a quick spray with that contact cleaner. Use my little detail brush to get in about the nooks and crannies. And I did the same for the contacts there. So don't know if there's any dampness that's been in here at all, but the car, like I say, has been sitting for such a long time. Everything is probably just desperate to get working, so let's put this light back together and we'll see if all four come back on now. Alright, well that tail light fix didn't take as long as I thought. I thought it was going to have a bigger problem than that, to be honest. You can see all four in the video were working again, and working for brake and tail light, so that was the problem that we had at the start, and I thought I'd be troubleshooting that for quite some time because the blinkers were flashing too quickly despite the fact all the bulbs were working, and it just seems to have maybe been that one holder that's been causing it. Anyway, I'm not going to look into it anymore because it's working and it's fixed. And that's it. So this video was only going to cover those two things. I did think I'd be spending quite some time on that. However, we shall move on. And what we'll move on to is, I might as well start looking at this parasitic drain while I'm here. So let's see the first step we should do if you're looking for a parasitic drain within your Corvette C5, or indeed any car, to be honest. No, don't adjust your phone or brightness or anything. I'm in the dark. I've turned most of the lights out in here because we're doing the first step of the parasitic drain test on this car. So this has worked for me in the past when I've just basically turned all the lights off in the garage, had a little look-see inside the car, and you can pretty much see if a glove box light's on, if a headliner light's on, or if a trunk light's on, or something like that. So you can pretty much see straight away if you've got an obvious no-no. But in this case, I don't have an obvious no-no. Everything's in darkness and everything's gone. And once this little light times out, it will get even worse. But I don't think there's anything. I've got the hood light detached, so it's not going to open even if I left it unlatched. It's not going to come on, sorry, if I've left it unlatched. But essentially, you would see anything in the interior giving off a glare if there was anything remaining on light-wise. So that rules out that one step. Right, so that is one I'll probably have to spend more time on because it's not an obvious draw. There's not a light on in the interior that would be causing the parasitic drain. But like I said, since I put a new battery in, since I've been starting the car regularly, and probably since, well, cleaned that ground, which was a couple of days ago, to be honest, the car has been lasting a lot longer on the battery than it did when I first kind of got it. It was like draining the battery within a day or two, and you know, I could probably leave it on now for 4 or 5 days before it starts to get worrying, and even then it would still start. So there is still something causing a little drain, so we'll get into that properly probably in the next video. But also in the next video, I've got this ready here. I'm going to start jacking up each corner and doing the brakes one at a time. I could have done the brakes when the car was up on 2 jack stands for the oil change, but it was half sitting outside, so brought it in. We'll do it here, and we'll get these new EBC brakes fitted, which are sitting over here. So we've got the rear pad and disc kit, separate box for the front pads, and the big front discs are there. And I showed you in the last video, I bought these little jack pads as well, just for jacking it up in the corners. These are good probably for the quick jack as well, actually, if I ever do get a quick jack. and these slot in underneath the car. There's a little notch underneath all four corners, which I'll show you when I'm doing the brakes in the next video. So yeah, they're pretty handy. But and here is the state of this roof. You might get a better look at it here. So all of that is lacquer failure, lacquer peel, and when you look in from the inside, it looks exactly the same. So I've tried to show that in a couple of videos, but it seems to be showing up better today. So all of this needs machine polished. That will need resprayed. We're pretty much going to respray the whole thing, to be honest, and then give it a machine polish to buff it out. But we need to sand all of this back and get it back to the glass and restore that, because it just kind of lets the car down. You look at it, look, it should be glossy black finish, but it's not. It just kind of lets it down. Another cosmetic thing I want to do are the wiper arms. They're just faded, so you can take them off quite easily. Give them a spray of satin black. The wiper, the cowl actually came up nicely after I cleaned it, so I might not need to spray that as such, but the arms certainly need sprayed, so we can take them off. And the wheels now, this one's pretty bad in terms of touch-ups. It needs scraped a little bit. These are the magnesium wheels. I'm going to get some new caps for the lug nuts, but I'll need to probably just get some touch-up paint or an aerosol can, lightly sand back the scuffs and spray it again. Centre caps are a bit worse for wear as well, but just cosmetic. There's no cracks or anything in the wheels that I can see. It will give them a clearer inspection when I take them off in the next video for the brake discs, and we'll get new tyres on as well. But I think I've got the colour code for these wheels correct. I shall put it in the comments. If anybody's got a contradictory colour code, let me know before I get some aerosol cans made up to do this. But I do believe the magnesium wheels have an issue if you sand them right back and try and just paint them like you would regular wheels. I believe you have to powder coat them first or something, and if you just try and paint them the way you would do regular alloy wheels, that will start to flake and fail pretty quickly. So a bit reluctant to do a full sand down. This is probably the worst wheel, to be honest, but the rest aren't too bad. But if I can get some touch-up paint, that might suffice for now. But anyway, cosmetic stuff. And then of course we're going to do a full wash again and a full machine polish from front to back. And I think after that we will be ready to take this bad boy to its MOT inspection and get it back out on the road. So follow along, sign up, subscribe for the next video, and we'll see how we get on with this car, and hopefully within the next couple of videos we shall get a nice driving video of this. You heard the exhaust there, it is still the stock exhaust, and I'll need to decide what's going to happen with the exhaust, because this is doing the Corvette thing when this one's sitting down a little bit lower than the other one. So, but it's connected, it's not leaking, it's not making any funny unusual noises, so it should pass its inspection with that. Then we can decide what to do with the exhaust thereafter. And I might have a surprise for the interior, maybe. Working on it right now, might have a surprise for the interior for this car. So stay tuned, hit the like, comment below, hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.